Just kidding. All right. All right, so for this one right here, today we're going to start on page, was it 77 today?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Okay, these are all the properties, and if you also have your handy-dandy notebook, putting this into the handy-dandy after we're done would be very, very helpful. Trying to do it right now is going to be a bit too much, but after I'm done putting it into your handy-dandy, you could use it on the test. I'm trying to help you guys cheat, and you guys don't want to listen. All right.
I'm listening this time.
I know. You woke, right? So anyway, so quadrilaterals. Here's my handy dandy. I still have to glue it. Anyway, so if I'm looking at it here, it actually has, you know, a lot of these things that we have right here. But we're going to go through and draw in all these things that, because there's little notations that's going to help you out. Okay, two pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Now the symbol for parallel is the arrows. So I'm going to put the arrows here. And these are parallel also. So if you notice, these get the double angles, or double arrows.
The second set of parallel sides. Right?
Yeah, right here. So these are parallel, right? And those are parallel. Those are the symbols for parallel. Two pairs of opposite sides are congruent. That means that this one here is congruent to this one. This one is congruent to this one. So I did all my tick marks. Two pairs of opposite angles are congruent. So, means that this angle right here is going to be congruent to this angle right here. This angle here is going to be congruent to this angle here. Yeah, it's going to be a lot, but you guys need the actual notations for this, because on your test, you're going to have one or more of these properties you're going to have to use. Okay? One or more of these properties. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Now, what does supplementary mean? 180. So I'm going to try to do some color on this now. So these two here add up to 180. These two here add up to 180. Okay. These two here add up to 180. And these two here add up to 180. So I kind of color coded this a little bit. So these two will add up to 180. These two will add up to 180. Next thing is diagonals bisect each other. Class, what does bisect mean? Cut into two equal parts. That's the exact terminology. Cuts into two equal parts. So it's almost like a test question, and I'm giving you the answer beforehand. So we got that. Diagonals bisect. Now, since we know bisect means cut into two equal parts, so this piece is going to be congruent to this piece. You notice I'm giving it 3 tick marks to signify that that one's congruent to only that one. And then 2, 3, 4 is going to be congruent to. So those two right here are going to be congruent to each other also. Yes, there's a lot on this one right here.
I mean, mine's a mess.
Oh, I'm sorry. You need another copy?
No. It's just ugly.
Wait, you did 3 and 4?
Yes. This is 3 and 3, and that's 4 and 4.
You good? You dying?
Uh-huh. We all are. We're born to die. Alright, you guys ready? Now, parallelogram has all these properties that are true all the time. But if you remember from yesterday, remember the little chart from yesterday, is a parallelogram a rectangle?
Yeah.
How often?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So a rectangle is always a parallelogram, right? Okay. So because a rectangle is always a parallelogram, all of these properties
I'm gonna be on this.
are also on this. But I'm only going to add the new things. Okay? Because it has all of this plus diagonals are congruent. So let's go ahead and do our diagonals. So from here to here. There we go. We have diagonals are congruent. So I'm going to single tick mark here. One. Okay? Because this property up here, saying that diagonals bisect each other, that means this is congruent to this is congruent to this, but they're all going to be congruent to each other. Alright? Now, for right angles. Where are those right angles located at? The corners, right? Let's put them in the corner. A symbol for a right angle. That little box right there. Right there. Up in there. Are we okay?
Yes.
We still following along?
Yes.
Rhombus. Now, here's your question. Is a rhombus a rectangle?
No.
No. How often?
Never.
Never. If you remember the chart from yesterday.
It's a parallelogram though.
Yes, it is the parallelogram. And how often is it a parallelogram?
Always.
Always. Very good.
Can I write an eraser, please?
All right. All properties of parallelogram. So it gets all these properties right here. So we get a couple new things here. Now, what is this symbol, the upside down T here? What does that mean?
No, perpendicular.
Perpendicular. Thank you. Good job. Yeah. You guys got this.
Forgetting like tongue twisted.
That's because I always write it like that.
Okay, so diagonals are going to be perpendicular, so that means that they are going to be right angles. So, right here. So I'm going to put the little symbol for right angle right there. So all those are going to be 90-degree angles there. Now, but the same rules apply from earlier. Diagonals are congruent to each other, right? So this one is congruent to this one. This one is congruent to this one. Alright, diagonals bisect opposite angles. Now, what was bisect again? Cut into two equal parts. So now we're cutting the angle, right? So we're cutting the angle into two equal parts. So it's going to be this piece is going to be congruent to this piece. This piece congruent to this piece. Same thing goes over here. This is a double.
Good double.
Yep, that's what it is. And a single right here. So if you guys can see it from here, so that's congruent to that, that's congruent to that, okay? And again, these two are congruent, those two are congruent. So I'm gonna do this right here. And 4 sides are congruent. That means all the sides are gonna be the same. So I'm gonna tick mark that, 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 and that right there. 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 Over there. In there.
Stir.
Yeah, up in her.
What?
So he said what?
Isn't it supposed to be 3/5 mark?
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See, someone was paying attention. Where were you on that one, Master?
Mm-hmm.
He usually catches my mistakes.
Not really.
Okay.
Tired.
Alright.
I would have took that.
He's pretty honest. Okay, so now are you guys ready for the next one?
I
A square. Now, is a square a rhombus?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
How often?
Always.
Always. Is a square a rectangle?
Yes.
Yeah.
How often?
Always.
Is a square a parallelogram?
Yes.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
Thank you. That's what we need. All right. So it gets all properties of parallelograms, all properties of rectangles, all properties of rhombuses. So rhombus, rhombi, rhombuses. Now, but I'm gonna just put in some, not all of them, but just some basic things. If it's a square, I know that all sides are congruent, right? That's always good. So a couple things that we know. So my diagonals are going to be congruent. And I also have right angles right here. And I know that this piece is congruent to this, congruent to this, congruent to this. And I know that this one congruent to that one, congruent to that one, congruent to that one. Now there's other stuff that's not on here, but you need to understand also. Now these are right angles, aren't they? What is a right angle? What is the measure of a right angle? 90. So what do these two add up to? 180. So that means that these two are supplementary, right? So I really didn't need to know that from up here. I didn't need to know that from up there because I know that they're rights, right? Okay.
Can you zoom in just a little bit on it so I can see?
I don't have any more zoom.
Okay.
I'll hand it to you here in a second. All right, questions over that?
No.
All right, let's take a look at that practice now, if you could please. All right, we're looking at the practice. How are rhombuses and squares alike? Here's a rhombus, here's a square. How are they alike? All properties, so right here, all properties of parallelogram, so right, okay, so all properties of rhombuses, right? So it has all these properties here, that they're the same, and all of these, right? Thank you. Okay, so it has all those properties. So it has these properties here and those properties there. So you don't need to write them all, just write several of them. Okay, like 2 or 3. Now, the next thing it says, how are rhombuses different than squares? What is different between these two things?
Rhombuses aren't always squares, or squares are always rhombuses.
Woo, man. Exactly. But now what's going to give me something different from the shape? There's something really important about the corners.
Corners.
Yep. In a square, what are the corners?
They're not the.
They're all 90, right? And in a rhombus, they're not 90, right?
Okay.
Okay. So opposite sides are parallel, that's going to be the same. So it's basically the shape right here. Because if the corners were 90 degrees or perpendicular, then it would be the same shape. So it's basically taking this and like leaning it, like pushing it. So anyway. Alright, let's look at these properties here. On this problem right here, it says MO is 5.4 inches. What is the length of NP? How'd you get 5.4? Because right here, in a rectangle, it says diagonals are congruent, right? Okay. So, that's what you're going to get for this one. Now, in this one's kind of tricky. AE is 4x minus 5, and AC is going to be negative 2x plus 70, right? Alright, so now, for this right here, being this shape what it is, what is AC? What is EC?
Oh,
Very good. It is 4x minus 5. Why is it also 4x minus 5? Because these are congruent, right? So whatever I have here could also go here. So in this case right here, I'm going to have it kind of special. So it's going to be 4x minus 5 plus 4x minus 5 equals the whole thing, which is negative 2x plus 70. So once I find x, it says what is the length of BD? BD is this whole one right here. So where would I plug in x to get this answer? To get this answer right here, what would I plug in for x? To this one right here, right? It's going to go right there. So I'm going to let you guys solve for this. All these properties here are going to work out. Okay? Use this one right here to actually go through. It helps you set up every problem. All right. Don't forget, like and subscribe, right?